everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF race of the day for Saturday, July the 20th. Well, it's right here at beautiful Monmouth Park. It's the signature race of the summer on the Jersey Shore. Race number 12, the Grade 1 Haskell. Let's take a look at this field. 3-year-olds, $1 million is the purse. They're going 1 1/8 miles. Mike, it's a good group. The question is, are we going to see all of them? Fierceness is sort of questionable right now. I guess it's dependent on whether Mindframe is okay.
We'll see if Fierceness decides to run here. I guess that's one of the questions of the race, though, Dan. Listen, a little Belmont Stakes rematch between Dornoch and Mindframe, maybe a little Fierceness in the mix too. I'm looking forward to this.
It's a really exciting race, and the Timeform US pace projector could be affected, certainly if Fierceness scratches.
Absolutely.
We throw up the pace projector and listen, Fierceness, if he goes in this race, he's speed. He's going right to the top. If he doesn't go, the question is, are we going to see a repeat of the Belmont where Dornoch gets up close to the pace? What do we do with Tuscan Sky, who was keyed up a little bit with blinkers last time out, and it's not like Mindframe's a slow horse.
No, it's not. I think Mindframe will be 4, but you don't get the feeling they're going to be looking for the lead with him. Dornoch, to me, has got a great post position here, Dan, from the rail. He's got plenty of speed. They should just come out running to the first turn, either go or let somebody else take over if they're really intent on having it. Is the key to the race the number 4 Timberlake? He can be really, really hard to handle early. If he won't settle, you might see him on the lead.
Remember, this Timeform US pace projector will automatically update after scratches, so keep an eye on your formulator PPs, timeformus.com. Dornoch, I think, has to go to the front. I think it's proven now that that's his best tactic. Yeah. He showed it in the Fountain of Youth. He showed it in the Remsen, and he showed it in the Belmont. When he was right up close to the pace in this race, makes the front in the stretch. Mindframe gets a little drifty. Yeah. I wonder if his inexperience cost him a little bit. But let's say one thing about Dornoch. He's a fighter.
Yeah, he really is. And I think that the one thing that I think you really like about Dornoch coming back in this Haskell, Dan, is I think the narrative out of the Belmont is, well, Dornoch, he did run well there. Nice to see him, sort of take a step forward. But if Mindframe wasn't, so inexperienced that he could have kept a straight course, then Mindframe was going to win that race. I don't think that's a certainty. I think Dornoch ran a really good race there. He did all the hard work on the pace. He was dead game through the stretch. And this horse showed that he was good as a 2-year-old. Finally took the step forward last time.
You're absolutely right. In hindsight, of course, for me is 2020. But looking back on it, okay, the Fountain of Youth wasn't that impressive.
Yeah, it wasn't.
The Bluegrass, they rated him, though. That's not his tactics. And the Derby, he had an impossible trip.
Right.
He's a lot better than people give him credit for, and you never want to give him short shrift. The 2 Jasper's Pride, well, he's in a tough spot. He's a New Jersey bred. I believe he's cross-entered Friday against Bookham Dano. If he runs here, he'll be running against Open Company for the first time, against Stakes horses for the first time, at a distance past 6 furlongs for the first time.
I gotta believe they're not gonna run him here. It's interesting that they entered him. He's in probably way too tough in the sprint on Friday. He can't possibly win this race.
And we just saw him running okay to be dead heated for 3rd. He was running on at the end, but just because you're running at 6 doesn't necessarily mean you're going to appreciate longer distances. Tuscan Sky is one of the more interesting horses in this race, Mike. His first 2 starts were very good, and I talked to Todd because he entered this horse in the Sir Barton on the Preakness Day undercard and scratched him, and I was asking him about what happened in the wood, and Todd said, I don't know. Right. I thought he was really live going into the race. He didn't run at all. He came out of that race dull. I said, let's just put some blinkers on him. So they did, and it worked out in the Pegasus. Watch the Pegasus as a whole in your free formulator PPs. What an odd race. 5 horses stacked across the track battling for the lead. It helped that this guy was inside.
Yeah, I feel like he had an advantage, at least somewhat of an advantage, being on the rail. It's very rare to see a race run like that. Then everybody left running, and then around the first turn, nobody backed away, and all 5 of them just raced each other up the backstretch. Certainly Tuscan Sky had the best of it. He still ran really well to survive the pace. Domestic Product, the horse who was a good second there, came back and destroyed a field in New York.
Timberlake is up next, and this guy's got some ability. There's no doubt about that. We saw him win the Champagne over a wet track, and then in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, just sort of kind of a one-paced effort. Fierceness controlled the race. He didn't run as well as I thought he would. In the Rebel, he came back. He was supposed to win, but he won in more of a workman-like fashion than I thought I wanted to see out of him. And then the Arkansas Derby was disappointing, and then Brad decided to take him out of the Triple Crown consideration. You know something? For the overall long-term potential of this horse, it might be the best thing. The question is this too much off the layoff?
It's hard to argue with their decision not to press on to the Derby and the Preakness and all that stuff. I still feel like the plan was to cut him back in distance, and now they're not doing that, so I'm not really sure what to make of him turning up in this race. I will say, when I saw him in the PPs, I got really interested. Because I think this horse is talented. I think he might be as talented as anybody in this crop. He has a lot of ability. Maybe the distance won't work out. I didn't love his Arkansas Derby last time, but He did get very headstrong early in that race. It looked like Pratt wanted to rate him. Timberlake had other ideas. He pulled his way up to the lead in there, and he got tired through the stretch. I really liked his Rebel. I hear what you're saying, Workman. Like, I thought he ran really well there. It was the first time he really settled.
He settled. He was way more patiently handled in that race, and he seemed to like it. The question is,
can you know
what you're going to get with Timberlake? It is a confident spot, though, by a great trainer.
I think so.
Fierceness, last year's 2-year-old champion, came back. He gets beaten the Holy Bull. People are starting to freak out. They're jumping off the Fierceness bandwagon one by one. No problem. He wins a week edition of the Florida Derby, and in the Kentucky Derby, he gets cooked up in a very fast pace before tiring. I like, again, they took their time after that. I'm not sure if he's going to run here. He's like the alternative. But if he runs here over this track, if he gets the lead, why can't he wire?
I mean, speed can be really dangerous on this track. It feels like he's not going to be absolutely loose here, even if he goes. So we'll see what happens. I mean, listen, you can be lenient on his Derby to an extent. I think he was the favorite in there. The pace was fast. He was terrible in there. I mean, that was not a good performance. You're still kind of stuck with 2 races there. In the Breeders' Cup, which was all speed, and he got the best trip, and then the Florida Derby against a horrendous field where he runs a huge figure. He's a 2-year-old champion. I have no idea how good he is.
Just Step On It is up next, and he's going to have to really improve, although he did score last time out in this race at Parks. He was entered for the $75,000 claiming option that day. He got away with a nice, easy lead, and he was able to score over weaker horses, and that's really the question. Now he's facing much better. He's in good form, but he's got to run a lifetime best by a good margin.
Listen, he's a very likable horse. It's hard to handicap this race and feel like Just Step On It's going to be around at the end.
Mindframe's first 2 starts were wow performances for Todd Pletcher, winning them by a combined, my math is terrible, 21 1/4 lengths with gigantic buyer speed figures. And we saw in the Belmont, listen, he's 3 wide all the way around the track. Speed seemed to do well. It looked like he had a big look at it in mid-stretch, and he got a little bit green. He tried hard. I love him turning back to 1 1/8. And listen, he's supposed to sit a good trip. He's the horse to beat.
Look he ran great in the Belmont Stakes. When we were talking about Dornoch, we were talking about all the reasons not to give Dornoch short shrift. At the same time, all the reasons that people really liked Mindframe out of the Belmont Stakes, they're valid. He ran huge in there, giving away tons of experience, and he could have won that race had he kept a straight course. You just feel like as time goes on, he gets more professional. He's right there in the stretch, and now he knows how to seal the deal. I'm with you. I think he's the horse to beat.
What about Jersey Bed C Streak as a nutty long shot to liven up your exotics? He blew him away in the long branch over this track, going 1 mile and 70 yards. Respectable 91 buyer. And we talked about the Pegasus. Well, the winner, Tuscan Size Safe Ground. This guy misses the break. He gets rushed up to dual 5 wide. Just draw a line through it.
Yeah, there were a lot of horses that had excuses in the Pegasus last time. None more than C Streak. He took the absolute worst of it in there, and he was still sort of hanging around mid-stretch, too. It's not like it was a terrible performance. I don't like him in here, but he ran way better than it looks last time.
Before we take a look at our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time for the Haskell. Mike Beer, where are you going?
I chickened out, and I took Mindframe in here. I just feel like he's the horse to beat. I really wanted to pick Timberlake, Dan. I hope he runs a good race here and has a good second half of the year.
I'm curious to see what Tuscan Sky can do. I'm a little concerned about how this pace works for him because it looks like he likes to be close and this pace has to be solid. That being said, he's run 1 bad race. And he looked good with the blinkers last time out, and he's going to be a solid price. I want to give him a chance as sort of the third of the 3 Pletchers in the Grade 1 Haskell. Be a great race here at beautiful Monmouth on Saturday. Best of luck.